Hey guys, today I want to talk about how to get back into reading. So many guys that I know talk to me and say that I used to read a bunch, but then I kind of just fell off and it's gone longer and longer. And now I barely read it all and I really want to read more. But every time I start, I just can't really get anywhere with it. And I'll do good for a couple days and then I'll fall off again. And we're just kind of stuck in this place where I want to read so much more than I do. But for some reason, every time I try to pick up my reading, it's not happening, right? So there's a couple key changes that you can make that will help you in this process, right? So the very first one that I want to talk about is that you have to realize that reading is work. So many people don't get this. They think that reading is just something that we do for fun, right? But reading is a mental workout. The same way that if you go without working out physically for a while and then you come back to the gym, it's so much harder to do any of the stuff that you used to be able to do, right? That happens with reading. Reading is working out for your brain. So the longer you go without lifting heavy weights, and which is reading intently and reading stuff that is worthy of being deeply read, the longer you go without doing that, the less adept you become at it and the less fit you become for it. So when it's been a while that you haven't been reading, you actually need to build back up those muscles again. And you need to have this mindset that it's the same thing as going to the gym after not going to the gym for a bunch of months, right? You literally have to get that into your head that, okay, it's not like I'm just going to sit down and everything's going to be like it always was because I used to love reading. It's not. I used to love working out and then I got sick for like 4 months and hadn't done anything. And now I'm like, good Lord, I try to lift a weight that I used to be able to lift just fine and I can barely even budget, right? You can't just assume that I'm going to go right back to the way that it was because it's a perishable skill. Reading is a perishable skill. Your ability to focus is a perishable skill. So if you're not using these things, they are going to diminish, right? So the next point with that, in line with that way of thinking about this, is that small, consistent efforts make way, way more difference than monumental efforts occasionally. Right? So if someone's telling you that, oh, I'm going to go back to the gym and I want to go back to the gym and get fit again, right? No one would recommend that I just go on a Saturday and work out for 7 hours and do that once a month. And then I'll get fit and I'll return back to the state that I was in when I was happier with everything, right? Like everyone realizes that that's not a good plan and that it won't work. The same thing applies to reading. You can't just sit down and be like, oh, I'm going to read for 2 hours, right? And then I'm going to bust it out. When you do that, it's the same thing as overtaxing your body when you go to work out. And then you lose all the motivation. And sometimes you even lose the ability to work out the next day because you hurt yourself. You have to shift your mindset to be this idea that consistency is the key. You have to switch your mindset and say, okay, I'm going to sit down and start with whatever is an increment of time that is actually doable. So a smaller increment of time that you will consistently be able to do is much better than a longer period of time that you will occasionally do, right? So if you have to start, if literally your mental processes are so out of shape that you can't focus for more than 5 minutes, just make a commitment to sit down and read for 5 minutes, right? Set a timer on your phone, sit down and read 1 page. But do that today and then do it the next day and then do it the next day, and then do it the next day, and then do it the next day. Everybody can read for 5 minutes. Everybody can read 1 page in a day, right? But what you're going to find is as you start doing this consistently, you're going to build up the muscles in your brain that will help you focus longer. It's the exact same thing as working out. Consistency is the way that we grow and that we sustain growth, not these monumental, inconsistent efforts. Right? So first, you're going to realize that it's work. Second, you're going to accept that it's small incremental efforts that make the difference. Okay? Those are the 2 big picture mindset things that you have to get correct in your head. Everybody, when they start to get back into reading, is thinking incorrectly about those. They're not thinking that reading is work, and they're not thinking that the best way to go about it is make small incremental efforts and read 1 page every day for a week. And then try to read 2 pages every day for the next week, and it'll be infinitely easier. And you might even get to 1 page after 3 or 4 days, and on the 5th day, be like, man, I really want to read a second page, right? Don't stop yourself. Read 1 page and then be done, right? Because you want to rebuild all of this stuff in your brain, all of these neural pathways in your brain that help you with critical analysis, with reflection, with empathy, right? These are the things that deep reading brings into your brain. You have to build these back up. And if you can build a sense of anticipation for reading, that will help even more. Those are the two big mindset things. The two practical things that I want to talk about is choosing easier books, right? And choosing books about things that interest you. One of the main practical problems that people get into is we're like, oh, I want to get back into reading and I should read this, right? Or I should read this, or someone told me that I need to read this. And we choose the books that we're forcing ourselves to read. So we're already making it harder on ourselves than it needs to be, right? There is something out there that interests you. There is some topic that interests you enough that you would be willing to sit down and read a book about it, right? And I guarantee you, whatever the topic is, there is a book about it somewhere out there. I promise you that. But so take these topics, and specifically what I like to do and what I like to recommend is take something, say you're spending too much time on YouTube and watching videos about something, right? And you want to get back into reading. Look at whatever it is of those things that you're watching. So like specifically for me at one point, it was like, I'm watching way too many watch videos. Like I'm super getting into watches and I'm just like, all my time is going to watching all of these watch videos, right? Well, start to look for books that are about horology, right? And you can find some awesome books out there. One of my favorite ones I mentioned in a video before is called About Time, and it's the history of the world in 12 clocks, right? And so I take this thing that I'm already interested in, and it makes it easier to sit down and read these books, right? So choose easier books and choose books about things that actually interest you. Don't choose the books that people say you should read. The one caveat to this is you still have to choose good books. You still have to choose something that has some kind of value to offer out of it. It doesn't do you any good to just read fluff books or just read books that are not going to equip and inspire you to live with more strength, courage, mastery, and honor, right? You have to find a book that's going to equip and inspire you to do that. But you can find ones that are easier, and you can find ones that you can read in a day, and you can find ones about topics that interest you. So those are the tips that I would have. A couple of suggestions that I would love to give you. I'm going to give you 3 fiction ones and then 3 nonfiction. First one is Charlotte's Web. I just read this book. I never read this book when I was a kid. Somehow, I don't know what happened, right? But pros of this book is that it's super simple. I think it's written for children and it has illustrations. So even if you're like, oh, this book doesn't have pictures. Well, this book has pictures and they're really cool. But this book is very, very deep on a lot of different things and topics about life and death and the value that things bring and friendship and all of this stuff, right? But it's super easy. You could read this book in a week. Easy, right? So a book like this that is from childhood, either one that you have never read, that's why I picked this one up because my son was reading it. I was like, I've never read that. Or one that you read that you did love in childhood. Go back and find it. And who cares if it's a kid's book? Who cares? This is a great book with some really deep stuff in it, okay? Just because it's a kid's book doesn't mean anything. It is a good book. And so you can get stuff out of it and it's worth your time reading, right? The next one that I would recommend is Animal Farm. I recommended this in another video as well. Now, again, this is an easy book. Anybody could read this book in a week. It is not hard. It's a metaphor. It's a story about pigs taking over the farm because they kicked the farmer out, right? But the stuff that you can pull out of this is so deep and there's so many levels to it. But it's accessible through a story that is just incredibly easily readable. And it's fast-paced enough that it keeps you wanting more. So if you only read for 5 minutes, you're not going to want to stop. You're going to want to keep reading and find out what happens on the other side of those 5 minutes, right? And so it's going to continue to motivate you to keep pushing through it, okay? The last fiction one that I would recommend is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This book, I read every time I've read it, I think I've read it in a day. And there is just, I would almost say there is infinite depths to this book. It is so amazingly good. But again, it's a story that just sucks you in and won't let you go. And it will bring up these emotions that will help drive you through the negative emotions of not wanting to do the work, right? It's like why we listen to music, like hardcore rock music when we're working out, because it makes you work out harder, right? Having a book and a story that's driving your interest to know what happens makes you work your mental processes out harder, okay? So That's another one that I would recommend. On the nonfiction side, the first one I would say is The Art of War. This is a classic. This is a classic book. If you read just this book, you can claim that you have read a classic, okay? But here's the awesome thing about this book. This book is all just broken up into bullet points. You can read it for 30 seconds a day. You can just come in and read one bullet point every day, right? But again, reading the whole thing is not hard. It's super small. You could read this whole book in a week, but it's also a book that you could come back to over and over and over and over and over again to better understand how to deal with conflict in all of your life, internal conflict, external conflict, all of this stuff, right? This is a brilliant, brilliant book, but it's super easy. And if you're at all into any kind of military thing, every military guy that you have ever looked up to in your life has read this book and recommends this book, right? So there you go, topic that you like, right? The next one, again, super easy. This is Bear Grylls. He is a manly man if there ever was one. His autobiography is one of my favorite autobiographies ever. This dude has done incredible things and is someone that will inspire you to be more manly. Oh my gosh. Strength, courage, mastery, honor. This guy kills it, right? But this book, To My Sons, is his advice to his sons. And it's literally just an illustration and a saying. That's it. The whole book is just a bunch of sayings, right? So you can literally get this book and you can read one of these every night before bed and you'll be better off for it, right? But that's easy. That's easy. And you'll want to see what the next one is. Some of the drawings are hilarious, right? And some of all of his advice is just so good, right? This is one of my favorite ones where he says, marry only for love. And he's like, you'd still marry me if I didn't have a ton of money, right? Even if I didn't own Hawaii, wouldn't you? You know? And so it's just great, right? But again, super easy, super emotionally driven, a book that will make you want to keep reading it because you're laughing and because you're thinking deeply and because you're delving into it, right? And then the last small one that I have here, I don't have the dust jacket on it, but it's called Ronald Reagan, His Essential Wisdom. And this book is just a collection of quotes from Ronald Reagan on different topics, right? And whether you completely agree with Reagan's politics or not, this man was uber successful. He was a very successful president. He was a successful screen actor. He was a successful politician before being a president. He's done all kinds of stuff. And the man is wise as anything, okay? And so you literally have, again, this book is just a book of quotes. It's just super easy. You can read a page. You can read 3 pages. This quote, he says, I don't pay much attention to critics. The world is divided into 2 kinds of people, those who can and those who criticize. And the more you read them, the more you'll have these moments that you're like, oh my gosh, I love that. Or, oh my gosh, I disagree with that. Or, oh my gosh, like that's so good. Or, like just laughing. I was laughing my head off at some of these things, right? But again, this is a super small, super easy book, but well worth it. It is a good book that you can dig stuff out of, right? So those are a couple of my recommendations. Think through that. Find something that you read in childhood that you loved and go back to it. Think about a topic that you're interested in and find a book about it. I guarantee there is one out there, right? And don't be afraid to grab these easier books. These are all small, easy books that you could read in a week. Most of them you can read in a day, no problem, right? But when you go back to the gym and start working out, you don't start curling 100-pound dumbbells. Nobody can do that. If you want to make it a consistent habit, you have to use all of the tools at your disposal to help you decide to do the work of it. So anything that helps you decide to do that work, that's what you need to do. Reach out, grab it, hold on to it, and just keep reading. Just keep reading consistently every day, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. And this focus will get stronger. Your understanding will get stronger. Your critical analysis, your empathy, and your reflection abilities will become stronger. These pathways will build up and you will just get better every day. So that's all I have for today. Hope you guys like it. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments. If you want more recommendations, I can give you a bunch more recommendations. If you are not already, please consider subscribing. I put out a lot of videos and about half of you guys so far are not subscribed. I would love to get to the 1,000 subscriber mark pretty soon. I'm hoping to be able to monetize this channel, to be able to start making some income from this. I would love to upgrade a bunch of my gear to make some better videos and serve you guys better. So yeah, do that for me if you haven't already, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you like them. And yeah, I think that's all I got for today. I'll talk to you guys later.